When I moved to Germany, I was not aware of the national sport of cashier versus customer. It really does feel like a race when you go to the supermarket and you want to check out. To the extent that if you look online, there's a lot of information and even jokes and forums, memes, and it's a real topic. In Guatemala, the country that I come from, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate, there is someone at the checkout usually that helps you pack your items in bags. Usually in Guatemala, not very eco-friendly, but when I lived there, it was plastic bags. And in Germany, it's completely different. There is no person helping you pack your bags. You need to buy the bags yourselves, additionally at an additional cost, and you need to be super quick in packing things because for some reason, it's just like the cashier gets paid for how fast they do things, especially in the supermarket called Aldi Süd. In this video, we're going to talk about tips that will hopefully help you beat that race and come out a winner and do the checkout in supermarkets in Germany more smoothly. Step number 1 is to select your packaging option before you go to the supermarket. And your packaging option would highly depend on your means of transportation. If you're walking, taking public transportation, cycling, skateboarding, e-scooter, having a car, because it highly depends on how you're going to move, whether how much items you can carry in your hand or so on. So the first option is your hands.
So if you want to go to a supermarket and you refrain from taking any sort of carrying bucket, but you just use your hands because you think, I'm just gonna get 1 or 2 things, then you really should only get 1 or 2 things. And we have seen so many times when particularly young people go to a supermarket and think they can carry everything, fill up their arms, and then usually there's always 1 yogurt in there. And usually it's always the yogurt that falls, of course breaks, creates a mess, and it's just not fun for anyone, not for the person, not for the worker who has to clean it up, and it's just so unnecessary. So if you are wanting to carry things with your hands, maybe only 1 or 2 or maximum 3 items.
Option number 2 is bags, and we have subcategories of bags. There is plastic bags, which nowadays in Germany, they tend to be less common to be able to get at the supermarket. And if you do find them, you need to pay for them. And they cost between 10 to 30 cents, depends on the size of the bag. They have different sizes at the checkout that you can select them. I would say buying bags at the supermarket adds stress to the whole scenario because you need to put the bags first. The cashier needs to check them. You need to open the bag and prepare for the incoming flood of items. Option number 2 is to have paper bags, which nowadays you can find more popular in supermarkets at the checkout, and you also need to pay for them. And with the paper bags, I would say stay away from them because it's very likely that you probably have things that need refrigeration or that are frozen, and they will most likely sweat. But not only that, Germany in general, especially Dusseldorf, it's a very rainy place, so if you're walking or using public transportation, if it rains, you have items that sweat, the mixture of that water with the paper bag, it will rip. It has happened to me in the past.
And then there's other bags like tote bags or very popular IKEA bags. They are perfect for also just items that you're able to carry, so not for heavier things or bigger purchases.
Yes, and bags are a great option if you're walking or taking the public transportation or a car. Not necessarily if you're cycling, because unless it's just one bag that you can put on one side of the handle, it just makes things more complicated and a little bit more dangerous while you're cycling, also depending on the distance, right?
Then of course there's backpacks, which has been for us for the longest time our preferred carrying method for groceries. Just because we typically cycled, we walked, and more importantly, we had to climb 99 steps to our apartment. We didn't have an elevator, and carrying things in bags, they become heavy over that period of time. So the backpack was the choice was our preferred choice.
Yes, so backpacks, I would say, are an all-rounder. They're amazing if you're walking, taking public transportation, cycling, skateboarding, car. So the backpack, I would say, is the most versatile option. The next option is the shopping trolley. And this kind of looks like a backpack on wheels. And a lot of, actually, to be honest, elderly people use this because it's so convenient to pack all your items in there and just like wheel away. And this is a great option if you're walking or taking public transportation. It's not ideal if you're cycling or if you have a car because, I mean, it doesn't make sense, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's also great if you have an elevator. So it's not good if you need to carry it somehow.
Yeah. Another one is if you have a car, that is kind of like the luxury option, because there it really doesn't matter. All the options are versatile except for the trolley. You can pack your items super easily in the auto.
But for the car, the folding box is most convenient because you can dump everything in it, lift it out of your shopping cart, which we're going to talk about, put it in your car, and the same, just dump it into your house and distribute the items.
Yes, that's very true. So once we have the packaging option set up, step number 2 is to define your carrying option inside the supermarket. And this is very important. Option number 1 is hands, which is a big no-no. Next one on the list is a basket. So there are 2 types of baskets. There's a basket that you carry with your hand, and there's a basket that you can roll with. And these baskets, yes, please?
Typically you find these in the smaller supermarkets in the city, where you tend to do smaller grocery shoppings. For example, Aldi or Lidl, they don't have these baskets.
And I would say, by experience, we can recommend only get a basket if you're going to get maybe a maximum of 10 items. We will explain why. Third option is to get a shopping cart. Now, the shopping cart is really, you can dump as many things as you want in it. The one thing you need to keep in mind is that in German supermarkets, you will need either a 50-cent coin or a €1 coin, depending, or a plastic coin that you can get at Amazon.
Or at the cashiers. However, the other day we asked in Aldi, they don't have them. But in other supermarkets, they also have them, yeah.
Yes, so you will need to insert that coin to be able to unlock the shopping cart, and you will need to return the shopping cart to get your coin back. Return it and lock it to get that coin back.
The shopping cart is by far the most stress-free option to do your groceries, especially at the checkout.
Yes. As an example, Aldi Süd does not have the options of baskets. They only have carts. So you should definitely come prepared with a coin that you can take a cart with.
Step 3, do your shopping. Now again, this highly depends a little bit on the type of supermarket you use. In Aldi, Lidl and some Rewe's, you do not need to weigh and sticker your loose items of fruits or vegetables, whereas in some Edekas you do. So be sure to know whether this is a necessity or not, because if you arrive to the checkout with unlabeled fruits or vegetables, you will be in stress because you will be sent back and weigh them, and everyone else is waiting, and it's just an inconvenience. So be sure whether that is a necessity or not.
Yes, and it also depends on the fruits and vegetables, and it's really a choice if you want to take one of these plastic bags that they have next to the fruits and vegetable sections. We rarely take plastic bags unless we need to weigh them and put a sticker on it. But other than that, we just take the loose items and we put them on the conveyor belt without any issues. Another thing that I read recently, and I don't know if it's actually true, is that certain supermarkets, they charge 1 cent per plastic bag that you take from this fruit and vegetable section. So just bear that in mind as well.
Our goal is to create the most accurate and detailed videos to help you settle into life in Germany, sponsor-free.
If you like the work that we do and you would like to support this channel financially, you can buy us a virtual coffee at simplegermany.com/coffee.
Thank you very much for your support, and let's continue with the video. Step 4, the checkout.
If your supermarket allows it, you can go to the self-checkout if you're purchasing usually it's 10 items or less. This is by far the most stress-free option because you can take your sweet time scanning every item and then paying. Usually the machines have the option to change language to English and sometimes even Spanish and other languages. So that's a win. So if your supermarket has that, good for you, you don't need this video. The rest of us, however, this is how it goes. A few sections ago, we mentioned how the basket can be a stressful option if you have more than 10 items. The reason for that is that in the majority of supermarkets, I haven't seen it any other way, is that you have to take the items from your basket, put them on the conveyor belt, and put the basket behind the cashier. You cannot take it with you. So that means that all the items that are coming, you should be ready to receive them and package them directly. After the conveyor belt, there is no division of multiple, let's say like catching ground for it. So you have one big area where all the items flow. And if you have a lot of items and you have paid, the cashier will continue scanning items without waiting for you patiently to package all your items. So that is what is stressful. So in this case, if you have up to 10 items and you have a basket, the strategy is you place your heaviest items first. You place the rest of the items, and in between, you put things that the cashier most likely will need to weigh. This will allow you extra seconds for you to package things quickly. This is awesome, by the way, this strategy. Another thing that I read online is that you can put your bakery items at the end of the conveyor belt, because most likely the cashier will need to look at the bag and figure out how many buns do you have and then enter that, and that gives you additional seconds.
For your final packaging stretch.
Exactly. So if you're packaging directly, this is the best strategy, because you package the heaviest items first, you place them, and then all the other lighter items go on top. And if you have up to 10, maybe maximum 15, this strategy is perfect.
As you can tell, Jen is very passionate about this topic. Believe me, she has tried various different approaches, and every time we go to the supermarket, it's like an experiment. So this is really her thing. But to avoid this amount of stress, you can simply use the cart, the push cart, because that one you can take also past the checkout, because you usually get them in the parking area outside of the entrance of the supermarket. And you can simply take the cart, put it behind the conveyor belt, like at the exit side, and just put all the items with the flow, fast or slow, with the flow back into the cart. Easy, no worry, pay, push your cart to, usually behind the checkout there's a little area where you have a little space to then package your items from the cart in peace into your backpack or your tote bag or whatever you're carrying.
Yes, that is the most relaxing option. And if you're wondering, but how can I go with my trolley or my backpack? Is that even possible? Yes. So there's multiple ways. Either you can hang your trolley. There's actually, the German supermarkets have special hangers where you can hang your trolley on it, or your backpacks or your tote bags. And usually when you go through the checkout, you just lift your element or show the cashier that it's empty, and that's about it. And you can just take it with you.
Right. Another thing is, if you do have a car and you do have a folding box, you can put the box into the cart. This is by far the most stress-free way, but makes only sense if you have a car. You just load all of your items, again, ideally heavy first, into the cart, push your trolley out, drive it to the car, push it to the car, lift your folding box, put it in the car. That's it.
Wow.
Easy peasy.
Yes. So the moral of the story is get a shopping cart. Do not add more stress to the situation by trying to package everything at once. With a shopping cart, you have the time and freedom to package your items after you pay. Now, talking about payment, step 6 is to pay. We already kind of skipped it, but just to emphasize on it. So how can you pay in German supermarkets? They accept everything and anything. Well, the majority. You can, of course, pay cash. Naturally, you can pay with debit card, expattips. In Aldi, we saw recently that they also accept Alipay, for example.
Alipay, American Express, really pretty much
cards.
Anything.
Yeah, so I would say it's a very open and diverse, inclusive payment methods the majority of the supermarkets have. So don't worry if you only have a card, most likely the supermarket will accept it. One favor that I'm gonna ask you is, if you're gonna pay with cash, please don't be like other Germans that they take hours just to count their coins to see, oh, is it 53? Oh, I have 55. No, wait, I have the 2 cents. Please don't be that person. If you're gonna pay with cash, give a bill and take the coins, and then you can later change the coins for cash in a bank. We can do a video about that, but please don't be that person.
And then there's one more big bonus to this video, because we actually were approached by one of you and got asked the questions, how do you exit the supermarket without buying anything? And that actually made me laugh, because I realized, this is really not so easy. It's a very, very valid question. So let's answer it.
Yes, so the answer is you can't. No, I'm kidding. You can, of course. And the way you do it is, so the majority of supermarkets, they have an entrance, which is either a gate or automatic doors. So the moment you want to exit through there, either a machine is going to start yelling at you like, this is not allowed.
Bitte benutzen Sie den Ausgang an der Kasse.
Please use the checkout to exit, or the automatic doors are just not going to open. So the way to exit is through the checkout. And of course, there's going to be a line of people, right? And depending on the time, a very long line of people. And the way you do it is just by wiggling yourself through it and saying,
no, you can literally observe which line has the less obstruction, and then just say, Entschuldigung, darf ich bitte durch? And then you pretty much just squeeze by them, and maybe the cashier will look at you and you just say, indicating, ich habe nichts gekauft, I didn't get anything, and then you exit.
Yeah.
I've done myself as a kid, also people who try to exit through the entrance and kind of like waited till someone comes in so that the gate opens and then sneaks by. That is just very stressful.
Yes, and I would say suspicious as well,
Yes.
because if you're doing that abrupt movement, people might think, because they have cameras, of course, oh, what are you stealing in a way, right? But actually exiting through the checkout, that's the best way to do it. If you want to learn more about how the supermarkets in Germany work in terms of weighing your vegetables and other things, then make sure to click on the video here on the left. Until next time,
Tschüss!